Today is August 19th, 2025, and as we are getting close to the opening of today's session, we're going to make a quick review on how, or basically where we are at the market at the moment. On the hourly, which is our C2 time frame, we can see that basically from this point here, which is the all-time high on NQ, basically we started making some sort of retracement, some sort of bearish move. And this is basically a cycle to the bearish side that we saw that started basically last Wednesday, last week. And from there we had the start of this cycle through some choppiness actually based on the hourly. But from there we can see here some sort of distribution around this area, which was validated. We came here into this momentum MB1, and from there basically we have stayed there as kind of this choppy market that we have seen throughout all the days. Basically here we were around the session yesterday. We were expecting to see this high here or this MMB1 to be validated, but what actually occurred is that we went at some opportunities we went above this high, but basically then made the way back, and the candle, all these hourly candles, they closed below this high. So basically we stayed inside this MMB1 throughout all yesterday's session, and at the moment we are still inside this MMB1. Now, due to the fact that on this time frame we are showing the buildup of some bearish momentum, our expectancy remains for this high to be completed, to be or this MMB1 to be validated. So that's basically our bias still for the day. We have to be cautious, basically taking into account how price action has been basically throughout the last few days. If we take a look at the context time frame, this is what I mean when I say has been a lot of choppiness. So basically this was all throughout yesterday. We had the expectancy of price to keep on going to the bearish side, but instead we had price coming back below the EMAs, then above the EMAs, and then basically throughout overnight session we had again price coming below the EMAs, and now it's kind of making a move above it at the moment. So with that in mind, what we can see here was at some point here on our context time frame, we could say this could be the start of some sort of distribution MB, taking into account that here we went on the context time frame back to the 20, and basically we are kind of reclaiming the EMA. So from here we can say that this can be defined as a distribution NB validated through the close, through this candle close above this high. And right now we are sort of seeing a what could be an MMB1 on the 10-minute, and actually a reaction at this time, now that we have seen the start of the session, a reaction from the 20 EMA on our C time frame. So we have to see if this is going to be a sustained move of this cycle on the context time frame, so that price keeps building above the EMAs, or if this could be some failure here and we have to stay on the sidelines for a bit more. In terms of our validation time frame, this was kind of a bearish cycle that we saw that started here. We just went through the distribution MB and an MMB1, which was validated but then immediately failed. So this is basically where we are at right now. we should wait to see if price is gonna build some sort of stage one around this area into a new bearish cycle that we could then start following. So we have to see if bearish momentum is gonna come here. If this thing that we are seeing at the moment is gonna sustain, and then we would be enabled to look for possible entries as we see flushes on the validation time into the 10 or the 20 EMA. So we have to see and look for that. At the moment we are having price going away from the EMAs, so we have to wait to see if there's something that we could follow, and if price is actually gonna validate this MMB through the start of the session. At the time we see there's certainly bearish momentum coming in, so we have to wait to see if this is gonna be just momentary, or if this is gonna be a sustained move. At the moment we see strength coming in, so actually we're going above this high here on the hourly. So if this is sustained and we see a clear flush into the 10 or 20, this is something that we could start following on any flushes for possible entries. So at this time I'm gonna just pause the video and come back as soon as I see some clear flush developing. So the move, actually the bearish move, came up to this point here, and now we're starting to see the first retracement on the validation. So we're gonna be following this one to see if this one comes back to the EMAs for an entry. Let's remember that we have ideally to wait for a touch of the 10 or the 20 EMA on our validation timeframes, and then look for a clear containment line on this flush and an entry through a double NB, and basically a buy stop of a double NB. So we're gonna be looking into this. I'm just gonna change, or I'm gonna just go to my other screen so that we can follow this from here. If there's some setup that we could be following to the bearish side as part of a continuation of this momentum to the downside that we're seeing at this point. If this candle is sustained and closes above this high here, this would be a validation, or the validation that we were looking for on our C2 time frame, kind of giving us confirmation of the bearish intention that we have seen so far. At this time we're seeing a flush here on the validation. We're kind of getting close to the 5 EMA. So this is what we're seeing at the time. We had a touch of the 5 EMA at this time, but we normally wait at least for a touch of the 10 before getting involved. Sometimes when we have such impulsive moves, price or normally starting the session, we see that price just come and touches the 5 and then goes. So that's a chance, a possibility here as well. But we usually, based on our system, we normally like to wait at least for a flush that comes and touches at least the 20 EMA. So now we're certainly getting some flush here. I'm gonna keep on watching this. We're now coming here to touch the 20 EMA. So now it's just a matter of waiting to see if there's a valid build up here. So we're sitting here at the 10 EMA on our validation. This is the containment line that I am looking for at this time. So I'm gonna wait to see if there could be a buildup of a double MB around here. So that was a tap in. So we have to wait to see if there's going to be a reaction out of this point here on our out of this 20 EMA. Our stop loss is basically placed here. So if price comes back and tries to get to the 20, we have it. Oh, that was a quick stop. Basically here we had a touch of the 20. So let's keep on watching that one. Basically we're getting to the original containment line that we had starting here. So this is the containment line on this MMB1 flush. Price actually did not get the reaction we expected here from the 10, came to the 20. Now let's see if it will still flush below the EMA, so if there's any chance for a possible double MB buildup around this area here for a reaction from there. Let's see. And let's wait for that, if that is something that will present. So at this time we're seeing a candle close below the 20 EMA on the V, and price keeps on the bullish momentum. So at this time this does not seem as if it wants to sustain the bearish move. Here we can see that at this point, due to this candle close and this move even below this low, the EMAs were starting to point downwards. So we have to wait here to see if there's going to be still a reaction to the upside. So here, if we have a double MB here, this could be a valid entry. So what I'm looking at is basically this whole MMB1 and MMB2. The buy stop would be placed here below the EMAs here, so it's a valid setup, and the entry would be above the containment line and above rising EMAs if price gets here at this point. But we gotta wait to see if that is gonna occur. So that was a tap in there. Now we gotta see if the move is gonna sustain once again to the bearish side, which was our whole bias here. So the stop loss is okay, has been placed on the right point. This could somehow be considered as a valid retracement, and I move above. So at this point here, we could certainly move the stop to break even and wait at least for the validation here on this point. So there is certainly bearish momentum coming in. So let's wait to see if we get a full TP on this play. Okay, and that was a full TP on that play. Basically, this was our usual 3R that we take on our setups, and this was sort of a line here, was kind of a little bit above this high here, which was the MMB1 on the validation. So that was a good goal in terms of the TP that we want to place, and this is basically what I mean when I say that I like to take a position when I have enough room here for price to go and develop and validate the current MMB on the validation time frame, and this is basically what happened here. So the idea was right. This is the loss that we took here, as we saw some valid setup in this point, but price wasn't ready. Price wanted, in this case, to come lower and basically build the double MB entry out of this area here. Certainly we had a candle close below the EMAs, and with this candle, as it was going to the upside, we saw the EMAs turning to the downside. But as soon as we saw, in this case, sellers come in, this build up, and then the EMAs once again going sideways, then we had this clear containment line and this clear entry. It was a good setup in terms of even the stop loss that we had here. We had a good, in this case, protection of the whole area here. So it was kind of a good setup in this case. So at this point, we have to now wait to see how this is gonna play on our validation. Going back to our other screen, basically just to label here what we just saw. We had here, this is the start of the session. We had some sort of distribution here that actually played out quickly. and we actually ran very quickly here to this point, which was our MMB1, as we saw this flush coming here. At this point, we had price certainly around this area above the MMB1, so the point that we were looking for to validate. Then we had a flush here, so coming back to this point here, up to the 20 EMA. On the context time frame, this was around this area above MMB1, so we were certainly enabled to look for an entry. And well, the entry is the one that we just saw and discussed. Basically, I'm just gonna just draw it here out of this containment line. So we had certainly this. And from there we had a double MB, basically coming from this MMB1 and this MMB2. So this was our tap in at this point here with a stop right around this area here. So this was our stop, the 5 contracts we took on MNQ. And from there, basically price tapped us in, never went into drawdown, moved quickly up here, so we came up to this point here, right around the high of MMB1, so around this area. Then we had a flush, and then we once again came up to our TP, which was through this candle here, a 3R. So that's basically the review of the trade here from MMB1 into the validation of MMB1 throughout this bearish momentum, in this case on the entry time frame. So that was that play. Now we are getting certainly a new flush here, which could be labeled as an MMB2. So we're gonna just put our label there, and we're gonna be following that one on our other screen. So we're getting a containment line here, but as of now, this is a strong move to the upside. So this is MMB2 as of now, from this point here. So this is the containment line. We are now below the EMAs on the validation below the 20. EMAs starting to point downwards. So if this keeps that way, there's certainly a no entry scenario. And as we have now two consecutive candles closing below, and now the EMA is pointing downwards, this is basically an invalidation for us on this setup. Now we have to wait for a new, in this case, build-up of a cycle on the validation time frame. If we take a look on the context time frame here, we had a move and a pause here on the context from this high to the 5. So we have to wait if price is gonna just build some sort of stage 1 here for continuation to the bearish side, to the downside, or if price wants to come and make a deeper flush here as part of what we could label as an MMB2 out of here on the context time frame. But we have to wait. What's important here to note is that we are basically 3 minutes away from the close of this candle, and if this one closes above this high here, this is going to be the validation of MMB1, something that we have been waiting for, that did not occur throughout the whole session yesterday. So now if we have a candle close here above this high, this is validation of this MMB1, and and this would kind of point out the intention of price to keep on going to the bearish side. So we're 3 minutes away from that. We have to see if this is gonna be a candle close above this high, so that we can then with more certainty keep on following the bearish moves that could build up throughout the rest of the session. We are 45 minutes into the session, and basically after the completion of the trade that we took earlier, we had a flush here, and price came down not just to the 5 under context, but also came up to the 10 EMA on the context time frame. And right now we're seeing some sort of stage 1 here being built. So at this time we have to wait to see if this is gonna be a true distribution MB that could lead into new momentum MBs that we could start following. So that's basically where we are right now, and I will come back later as soon as we see some new build-up or some new build-ups that we could start following. I had to step away from the computer for a while, and actually I think we left here around this area, basically where we had the formation of a MMB on the context time frame, and from there we had basically a reaction from the 20 EMA. We had a very nice reaction to the downside here as a continuation of the bearish move. And as we see the validation time frame, we had the buildup of some nice price action here through this distribution MB that was validated, and then through MMB1, MMB2, MMB3. And on this flushes here, we had nice opportunities to get an entry. So what I'm gonna do right now is basically basically end this video here, and I'm gonna come later with a new recording basically covering the price action since Friday until today. So basically covering Friday, Monday, and the whole day today, just to see all the opportunities that were presented. And well, I'm gonna be coming back tomorrow to cover the live action and the entry opportunities that we'll present. But as for now, I'm gonna end the session with the loss and the win that we had earlier this morning. Um, and I'm gonna come back later again covering all the price action since last Friday.